Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us for today's announcement. We now welcome the Honorable Monte McNaughton, Minister of Labor, Training and Skills Development, to the podium.
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to thank all of you for joining me here today for a very important announcement. As the minister, nothing is more important to me than every worker coming home safe after a hard day's work. Keeping them safe is my top priority. In fact, it's my responsibility. When our frontline heroes, those grocery store clerks, construction workers, truck drivers, bus drivers, nurses, and PSWs, and others, when they're all safe, our families and our communities are stronger. To date, we introduced job protected leave for those who cannot work due to reasons related to COVID-19. We published more than 200 resources for businesses and for workers. We hired more than 100 new inspectors for the largest inspectorate in Ontario's history. Today, we're doing even more. Our government is sparing no expense to protect the health and safety of workers. Today, I'm launching a big box blitz. Inspectors will be targeting big box stores. This big box blitz will take place in Toronto, Hamilton, Peel, York, and Durham this weekend. And soon it will be expanded province-wide. 50 health and safety inspectors will be joining local bylaw and police officers. I want big box stores to pull up their socks and follow the rules. If not, my message is clear. You'll be shut down. We've already closed 55 unsafe workplaces, and we won't hesitate to close even more. Because when big businesses don't step up their game, all of us suffer. And that's not fair to everyone else who is trying their best to stop the spread. Inspectors now will also have greater powers. We are not trying to punish anyone, but cases are still rising. All of us, we need to do even better. This action is critical. This will save lives. If you're not an essential worker, please stay home. These measures I'm announcing today build on the Stay Safe All Day campaign, which the Premier launched earlier this week. This campaign tackles head-on what our inspectors are seeing in workplaces in every community across the province. And they've been in workplaces a lot. In fact, we've done more than 34,000 inspections to date. We know that the majority of workers in workplaces across the province are following the rules, but we can't let our guard down for a single second. So inspectors will inspect places like break rooms and lunch rooms on the rounds to keep workers safe even off the clock. Combined with health data, inspectors will focus on workplaces with the greatest risk of spread. That includes manufacturing, warehousing, food processing, and workplaces where outbreaks have been reported. I want to stress that time is of the essence. By law, employers must report illnesses to my ministry and the WSIB. Taking immediate action will keep others safe and may even save a life. To every worker, I want you to know that your job is protected. And thanks to an agreement that we signed with the federal government, there is income support for you as well. We are all working together. Finally, I want to let you know that we're constantly updating our resources. Please visit ontario.ca/safety to learn more on how to stay safe. Thank you for your time today. Please remember, if you're not an essential worker, stay home, stay safe, and save lives. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to go to questions. The first question, I believe, comes from Jeff Gray at the Globe and Mail.
Minister.
Morning, Jeff. I can hear you.
Oh, good. I can hear you too. Thanks for doing this. I wanted to ask, just you mentioned the income support. Everyone's talking about this, talking about it for weeks, and the phrase "there spare no expense." Can you explain why, as part of the government's moves to try and protect workers, it hasn't augmented this federal income support for people who either are awaiting a test or test positive? It seems everybody seems to think that money that is on the table for those people is too meager. Can you explain why you guys haven't decided to add to that and answer the calls from all these people, public health, doctors, the mayor of Toronto, everybody? Can you explain?
Well, certainly, we're doing everything in our power to protect workers. The very first measure our government introduced was my legislation that told any worker, if they're in self-isolation, if they're in quarantine, if they're staying home and looking after a son or a daughter because the schools are closed, they can't be fired for that. We also eliminated the need for sick notes. Furthermore, as I mentioned, I'm proud to say that we partnered with the federal government to offer paid sick days, $500 per week. I was on the phone all weekend with federal ministers to one to thank them for this program for workers in the province, but also we need them to really improve how quickly the payments go out. I noticed Minister Qualtrough yesterday referred to these payments being distributed within 3 to 5 days. We need to get this down to a matter of hours. But I want any worker to know, we brought in job protected leave, and there are federal income supports out there, and we do need to spread the word. I've been told about 80,000 workers in Ontario today have taken part in the paid sick days offered by the federal government.
Follow up?
Oh, sorry, 80,000 so far. Okay.
About 80,000 workers have been participating in or have participated in the federal program.
But beyond that, though, there's no plan then to augment it with provincial money to make it more than $500 a week. Some people seem to think that amount is not enough if you're living right on the edge and you have to decide between going to work with the sniffles and not feeding a kid or whatever. This is the story we hear over and over again. There isn't any extra money to be added to that amount to try and make sure that people don't miss a paycheck when they do have to go off for what could be more than 2 weeks. Of course, if you have children that test positive or a spouse that test positive and you end up self-isolating for it starts to sort of build on itself like a snowball. You end up with 4 or 6 weeks of self-isolation happening.
Well, look, certainly these are challenging times. We brought in job protected measures, as I mentioned. We've also provided huge reductions in hydro rates for families that are at home, income supports for parents who have kids at home. The $200 per a child. We've dedicated a lot of resources. The federal government does have $500 a week for people that are at home because of COVID-19, including a care benefit for up to 26 weeks of $500 a week for moms and dads who are staying home and looking after a child. Look, I know these are tough times, but we are partnering with the federal government and doing everything to ensure that people know that these supports are out there for them.
The next question will come from Haley Cooper at News Talk 1010.
Excellent. Can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Haley.
Hi, thank you so much for answering our questions. You kind of touched on this, Minister, but if you could just maybe elaborate on what specifically inspectors will be looking for and how often these workplace inspections will be conducted.
Well, the health and safety of every worker is my top priority. That's why we've launched a big box blitz, and we're going to be going in to big box stores across the GTHA on Friday and Saturday with 50 of our inspectors plus local bylaw enforcement officers and police officers. We'll be ensuring that that supervisors and managers and the businesses themselves are following the protocols that we put out. But furthermore, our inspectors will also be now empowered to ensure that customers are wearing face masks, they're wearing them properly, and that socially distancing is taking place. I want these big box stores to know that they have a maximum capacity of 25%, and we want those levels to be met. If not, as I said, I will not hesitate to shut down any big box store anywhere in this province.
Follow up? Okay. The next question will come from Chris Glover at CBC.
Oh,
I think Haley might be back. Hey, Haley, do you want to take?
Sorry, 1 second.
okay,
We'll
there
get
we go.
Haley back. There we go.
Okay, sorry about that. My microphone cut out. So what I was asking was if a customer is found by one of these inspectors not wearing a mask at all or even properly and not physically distancing properly, could those customers face a fine, or would the fine be handed out to the management in the big box store itself?
Yeah, certainly on the mask wearing, individuals can be fined $750. The Ministry of Labor Training and Skills Development inspectors have just received the power to issue those fines. But again, the focus for these inspections, not just at big box stores, but in other sectors of the economy and in other workplaces, will be ensuring that the Occupational Health and Safety Act is being followed, that the businesses and companies and corporations, as well as supervisors and managers, have the protocols in place. But at big box stores specifically, our inspectors will be able to put fines of $750 if people aren't wearing their masks.
The next question will go to Chris Glover at CBC.
Just to quickly follow up on what Haley was just asking you, though, I think she was trying to ask you, would the individual be fined for not wearing a mask and potentially the business for not making them wear a mask? Just before I get into my question.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always inspectors that make judgment calls, but now the change that we've announced today is that these inspectors can fine customers and individuals. They've always had the power to issue fines and issue orders or shut down work sites and job sites as well during this pandemic and prior. But they do have the power now to individually charge customers.
Okay, fully understand. So as far as the big box store and this blitz that's going on, we just heard from Mayor John Tory not too long ago, just a couple days ago, saying he frankly did not understand why big box stores were even allowed to stay open right now, especially when so many small businesses, small retailers are being forced to limit their ability to operate, closing their doors. And so he was suggesting that this was a double standard, that big box stores should not be able to continue to operate at all. And now here we have this blitz. What would you say to a public official like John Tory, who's out there telling the public that why are these big box stores even open right now?
Well, look, the government has defined essential businesses, essential workers. My job as a minister is to enforce the rules, enforce the laws, and to protect the health and safety of every single worker going to work every day. Look, I've long said to people out there, support your local businesses, the small businesses. They're still open for curbside and delivery. Support them. But my job is to ensure that any place that's open where customers are going in the door, workers are going in the buildings, that we're going to ensure that the health and safety of those people are protected.
Follow up?
My follow-up is what is necessitating this big box blitz? Is the suggestion then that there have been too many violations? There are presumed violations that are going on behind closed doors. I mean, what is necessitating your move today?
Well, we're announcing today a big box blitz in the GTHA this weekend, which I'll expand across the province in the days following. We take advice and make these decisions based on public complaints, but also on the advice of public health and local municipalities. We are going in, as I mentioned, to every type of workplace in the days ahead. This is such a critical time. We need every business out there, every worker, every supervisor and manager to do more than they've ever done during this pandemic to protect the health and well-being of all the people.
The next question will be from Mo at Vista Radio in Parry Sound.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Mo.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, Minister. So my question is about something you've actually already mentioned. The program is starting in the GTHA and expanding over the days to come. For example, for Northern Ontario, what are we looking at in terms of timing? And also, for like some hotspots are not in the GTHA, like Ottawa, for example, and Waterloo is becoming more of a situation. What's the schedule for those as well?
Yeah, well, thanks, Mo, for that question. I can tell you I'm in southwestern Ontario and not far from Windsor, Essex, and of course, the Lambton Health Unit, where there are certainly challenges here. I mean, COVID is everywhere across Ontario now, in every hamlet, every town, and of course, in every city. We're protecting the health and safety of workers in every job site and in every workplace across the province. That's why I'm proud to say we now have over 500 Ministry of Labor inspectors. It's the most we've ever had in provincial history. Plus, we're partnering with local bylaw enforcement and police officers to go into workplaces to keep people safe. We're inspecting workplaces today and every single day in every place across the province. But we're highlighting this big box blitz because I want to send a message to those big businesses and those big corporations that I will not hesitate to shut them down. I don't care what community they're in across the province.
Follow up?
Perfect. Thank you very much. I don't have a follow-up.
Thanks, Mo.
Next question will come from Sarah at the Toronto Star.
Morning, Minister.
Morning, Sarah.
You talked about targeting your inspections based on the advice of public health officials, and what the data shows is that the vast majority of workplace outbreaks are happening in sectors like warehousing, manufacturing, food processing. And so I'm wondering if you can tell us more about your plans to ramp up inspections in those sectors, as well as your plans for finding and prosecution, because we know that last year, only a handful of employers received fines. So if you could please detail what your plans are to add teeth to existing inspections.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Sarah, for that question. Certainly, as I referenced and the Premier mentioned this week, that we have launched a Stay Safe All Day campaign targeting those sectors that have had the most outbreaks. Look, again, we need every business out there to remain even more vigilant today. I mean, we're facing, as we all know, a silent and an invisible enemy, and we need everybody to do even more to remain vigilant, including the businesses and supervisors and managers and workers and customers themselves. We have lots of boots on the ground every single day doing inspections. We will also be expanding our community safety blitzes that we've been doing for the last number of weeks, actually since Thanksgiving, and we'll be expanding those even more next week. So it literally is all hands on deck to keep workers safe. Our ministry has done over 34,000 inspections. We've issued more than 34,000 orders. We've shut down 55 job sites. And I can tell you there are a number of investigations going on today that will be resolved hopefully soon. And we'll bring the hammer down if we have to on these businesses.
Follow up?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, does that mean that you will be increasing fines and prosecutions for employers who are found in violation?
Well, under the Reopening Ontario Act, there are fines that could be as high as $10 million. As you know, under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, there can be fines up to $1.5 million, jail time for shareholders and corporations and the business people. And we now have the authority to issue as a ministry now these $750 fines, for example, on customers when it comes to wearing masks and socially distancing. So it's an all hands on deck approach to keep people safe during obviously a very, very challenging time.
There are no more questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.